Hello and welcome to Money Free Economics Episode 9. In this episode, we'll talk about education. If you want to get in touch, my email is in the top left corner of the screen. So, let's look at what is the purpose of mandatory education. We have one system, that's the Eastern system, for example, in China. And while there's a lot of stress on the students from the teachers and the parents, these students actually walk away with a lot of knowledge. And you can argue that in the Chinese system, the graduates from public school when they're 18 have more knowledge than some students in the West who've completed 3 or 4 years of university. So it places a lot of stress on the student, but actually the student gets to walk away with a lot of knowledge and obviously um, a lot of discipline. So there's been thought of in the West of reducing the stress in classrooms, reducing the size of classrooms, things like that, for the students to select their own courses, etc. I think that could work well because this system it's based on not putting a lot of stress on the students and having the students basically select what they want so that they can perform better because they're doing what they like instead of having a forced curriculum. Critical thinking should be taught to all under 18s, in my opinion. When what critical thinking effectively is, it's effectively it asks how something could be written differently, what would be the effects if it were written differently, stuff like that. And there's like this very famous quote that we want to teach the students how to think and not to think, not what to think. So that's critical thinking, basically. So, young kids they should learn how to formulate their thoughts, and they should train their memory during mandatory public education. We also have some skills. So a lot of youth they have art skills, but we have to strengthen those skills by teaching them techniques. So, for example, art techniques would be like how to step by step process of drawing a super realistic face of a person or something like that. Primary education. I think two really important things in primary education are firstly to have the students have optimal sleeping patterns so that they're in bed before sundown and they wake up during sunrise. Um, there's a lot of students who drink energy drinks, and that messes with their sleeping patterns, and then that in turn messes with their ability to memorize things. Some other problems as well. Second thing would be to prevent back ailments, so that the kids aren't always carrying like 5 kilos of books or 10 kilos of books in their bags every day. They should have access to lockers because that can actually give them back problems. In terms of what is free, so all the materials will be free. Everything from notebooks to theory books to pencils to food services every day. For primary education, we don't really want to punish the kids. Well, you could say that for all the education, but that we shouldn't really be failing people every year if they get bad grades on their tests. Um, Spreading out the tests. So let's say you're learning something for 1 month, you get tested after that month. But that's just something to consider. Less homework is probably also a good idea. I would say if homework can be abolished, but as long as it's replaced by something like sports. Secondary education. So this is for just the last few years before the students turn 18 and graduate from mandatory schooling. There's talk about putting less students in classrooms because the teacher would have more time per student, something like that. More in diverse courses. Um, I think one main important thing here is to have really sort of courses that are technically in this system considered to be too complicated to be taught to secondary school students, like political science, philosophy, or law. Those should be available to them because in my experience I would have rather taken complicated courses instead of just the standard ones that are offered, like history, economics, stuff like that. Um, Obviously, with this, with these complicated courses, they should include really stuff that is highly detailed and suits the students. Let's say if you want to become a car designer, you can get a course for like automobile engineering, stuff like that. How do we manage all these hundreds? Well, not necessarily hundreds, but like how do you manage all these many courses? So you would take standard teachers; they're working the same hours, but then they can get booked for to teach you more hours. And if they're not really specialized in the course, they just get sort of resources. They get a catalog of what they're supposed to teach and how. Military cadet schools. If the system is demilitarized, then the military cadets they can learn things like first aid, sort of civil defense work, on like understanding radiation and health, and maybe even sort of some form of engineering. University education, I would say everyone should be allowed to go to university. There wouldn't be any fees, and obviously there wouldn't be any entry exams. But in place of entry exams, you can obviously put these general common knowledge and problem solving tests to see what the strengths and weaknesses are of every student. Um, that's that. So the universities would have internationally accepted general courses. So we're talking bachelor courses of arts, sciences, master's degrees, doctors, stuff like that. Religious education. So if parents want to take out their kids from secular school to study religion, I think that can be arranged. Also, religious classes can obviously be taught in secular schools, like in yeah, technical education. So if you don't have a university degree or you've just finished a university degree and you want to, let's say, do something, you want to become a car mechanic or something, um, you would go to these technical education schools and you would get practical hands-on training with car parts, stuff like that. And while these aren't very formal, they still increase employability. There would be hundreds of these courses, so really specialized thing is really sports leagues. So let's say the students are from age 6 to age 18 are in mandatory school. It would be great for their future to have trained sports all those years. And these public schools should really make sure that the resources are there to practice these sports. Languages, our students should graduate knowing at least English and at least one national language or more. Study abroad. So I think students coming to our country, that's an excellent thing. They should have the same free access to food, dormitories, and learning materials. If possible, our students can get all their fees paid by our government. That's pretty simple. So obviously, we participate in these student exchange programs on international levels. National Library. So I wanted to put this in because it's uh, very important. So the National Library is basically going to have all the books in the world. So it would accumulate as much books as possible into its library. Um, the books would be the books contents would obviously be printable for everyone. Um, Writers who get their books rejected from publishing in the capitalist system because of competition, they can bypass the system, have their books exported, and then get profits from that export. Students should learn to read. Students should get a habit of reading a lot of literature of their choice. This is probably good on every level, even from primary to university. Comments. So I'll let you read all of this, and that's that. Thank you for watching.